Raja King. You familiar with him?
The name rings a bell. Refresh my memory.
Yeah, so he's published a lot on Islamic psychology and philosophy. We're looking at an excerpt from the Journal of Islamic Psychology and Islamic Philosophy.
Heady stuff. Sounds like it. And what's the other source?
We're pairing that with some verses from the Quran, specifically Surah Rahman.
Interesting combo. Science and spirituality. I'm intrigued. Where do we even begin with that?
Well, Dr. King really throws down the gauntlet right from the start. He just casually drops this number. Are you ready for this? The human body, get this, contains something like 34 to 37 trillion cells.
Whoa, hold on. Trillion.
Trillion. I know. It's almost impossible to even picture that, right?
It's more stars than are in the Milky Way, right?
Yeah. Like, that's how many cells are in just one of us.
That puts things in perspective, for sure. I mean, think about it. Biologist Craig Venter spent years, a fortune, just trying to clone a single animal cell.
Yeah.
Still not there yet? Makes you wonder.
So is that what Dr. King is getting at when he says human cloning is impossible? Just because it's too complex?
He doesn't come right out and say it, but it definitely makes you think, right?
37 trillion cells, each one different, working together, and we can't even copy one perfectly.
I mean, it makes you realize how truly unique each person is.
It really does.
Yeah.
That makes you want to stand up and applaud just for existing.
Right.
Speaking of standing in awe, that leads us to our next source, the Quran. Okay, so like I said, we're looking at Surah Rahman specifically. It's all about the blessings, the gifts of creation.
Okay, I'm listening.
And it drives this home with this phrase that's repeated over and over. Then which of the favors of your Lord will you both deny?
That's powerful.
It's not just a question, right? It's like, stop and think about it. Look around.
So what are some of the favors it mentions?
Oh, it goes all out. You've got the heavens and the earth, the sun and the moon, rain that brings life, the whole grand design of the universe.
Wow, paints quite a picture.
But then it zooms in, too. It talks about our senses, like sight and hearing, taste, even our ability to think and reason, like, hey, these are gifts, too.
Don't take them for granted.
Right. And that's where I think things get really interesting. Science can explain how our eyes work, how we hear things. But Surah Rahman is asking a different question.
Like, why do we have these abilities in the first place?
Exactly. It's not about how they work, but what's the meaning, the purpose behind them.
Fascinating. One's about understanding, the other's about appreciation.
Right. Science asks how, religion asks why.
And maybe those two questions aren't so different after all.
Maybe they work together, like two sides of the same coin.
Totally. Science marvels at the how, religion reminds us of the why, and the responsibility that comes with all this.
So we went from tiny little cells to the vastness of creation.
And somehow ended up right back at ourselves.
It's kind of beautiful, actually. Like all these different paths leading to the same awe and wonder.
And here we are, smack dab in the middle of it. I mean, if it's that incredible, that complex, just to create one of us, what does that say about our potential and our responsibility to ourselves, to each other, to the whole world?
That's one to ponder, folks.
Yeah, something to think about.
And on that note, we'll wrap up this deep dive. Thanks for joining us.